Hawks lose 4-2 to the Boston Bruins in a game you have seen many, many times this season. That and a major show announcement coming up next on the CHGO Blackhawks postgame show. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks post-game podcast. I'm Jay Zawoski with Greg Boyson. Mario Tirabassi is at the United Center and will join us in about a half hour. Sarah's here running the show today. We appreciate when Sarah's here always. Do us a favor, hit that like button for us. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube page as well. And if you're listening on the podcast, thank you. Make sure you are following or subscribed on your favorite podcast app. And leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Hawks lose 4-2 to the Bruins, as you know. We've got some stuff we got to tell you right off the hop, though. First and foremost, Thursday, 2:30, Alex Vlasic will be here in studio with us, the goal scorer today. So he's the Hawk we're not mad at.
Got something to talk to him about.
Exactly right. So we'll talk to Alex Vlasic tomorrow at 2:30, and we've been teasing this for a few weeks. Last night we told you about the Bulls suite takeover. Well, guess what? Now we have our own. The official CHGO Blackhawks top shelf suite takeover, January 20th, Blackhawks versus Hurricanes. You're not going to want to miss this. We're going to be in the suite, unlimited food, unlimited drink. There's going to be a goodie bag in there. That goodie bag will contain an autographed puck by Alex Vlasic. So you got lots of perks, lots of food, lots of drink. We're going to hang out there the entire game. So we'll have some more time to hang out during intermissions, mix and mingle, talk Hawks, talk about whatever else you want to talk about. It's going to be a great time. Go to allchgo.com to purchase your tickets right there on our events page. And if you're a diehard, you're going to save $80 per ticket. Related, if you become a diehard by midnight tonight, you're going to get that diehard membership for $36. So if you're eyeing this and you want to save some money, you might want to become that diehard.
You've got
in the next few hours.
2 hours and 47 minutes.
And save that money on top of it. So you're going to save 80, you're going to pay 36. Quick math, that is don't help me do math.
I don't know.
80 minus 36.
Almost half.
44?
Sure.
I don't know.
It is half, because isn't it $72 normally? It's half price.
I don't know.
It's cheap.
Just do it.
It's $3 a month.
Yes, jump on there, do it. This
Helps
will
me
sell
keep
out.
my lights up.
Yeah,
And feed my dog.
All
Do
right.
it.
Yes, feed Greg's dog. Don't make us get Sarah McLachlan in here singing and showing
Nobody
Greg's dog.
wants that.
Well,
People
wouldn't mind,
people
I
need
think
his
Sarah
food.
McLachlan. But yeah, let's jump on that. It's a bit, obviously it's a top shelf event. It's going to be a higher ticket price, but it will sell out. So don't hesitate too long. Jump on there, and we would love to see a January 20th Chicago versus Carolina in the suite at the United Center. It's going to be a great time. So, all right, I guess we got to talk about the game.
Could we just replay any one of our
really?
previous? It's the same crap every night.
And look, I'll say this. Frustrating, yes. No doubt about it. It is a very frustrating night. Do I have a massive problem with the way they played? Not really. They just don't have,
because it's who they are.
It's what this team is. They don't have anybody that can finish.
This team is a team full of placeholders and stopgaps. That's what they are. None of the guys that were brought in are going to be here when this team is in the playoffs again. Maybe Tyler Bertuzzi.
Well, Bedard.
Well, I meant the guys that were brought in.
Yeah, right.
None of those guys, maybe Bertuzzi. The way it's going is not going to be Tavo. They're stopgap placeholders, and until you start bringing up some of these guys that matter, this is what it's going to be. Well, I'm sure we're going to be talking about a guy that matters that should be playing in Chicago.
That's right.
Before
Cole
this show
Gutman
is over.
I mean, but you look at this game, Greg, and if we went into this game and say, don't predict the score, but just predict how it's going to look. Hawks had a 5-on-5 possession advantage, 36 shot attempts to 34. High danger chances. Boston had 5, the Hawks had 4. Scoring chances 4, dead even. The difference is they've got Brad Marchand, they've got David Pastrnak, they've got Hall of Famer Morgan Geekie. And they had 2 go in that the Hawks didn't. And that is the difference. They don't have guys that can score with any consistency. We reference this graphic all the time. Norm McIver, episode 1 of every shift. The episode ends with him asking, where are the goals going to come from?
They're not.
That is the assistant GM as the season's about to begin with a very concerned look on his face as he's looking over the
To be
roster.
fair, he always has that look on his face.
He does. Yes, he does.
Yeah. He kind of knew before any of us knew that, like, this is not this is not going to be pretty. So, this season, this team is what it is. They keep saying we want to find our identity. You have your identity. It's not the one you want, but it's the one you have. You're a team that, just not good enough on most nights.
You play hard, you can't score. A couple comments from Dom I wanted to get to. First one there says, we have to stop apologizing and bright-siding this. This is bleak. It has to be better than this. I don't think we're bright-siding anything. It just is what it is. This is what the team is. And until they acknowledge that this team needs offensive help and do something about it, be it call up Frank Nazar and or Colton Dock or make a trade for someone who can put the puck in the net, this is what this year is going to be. Maybe you get a hot streak from Teuvo Teravainen again, where he has 7 points in 5 games or something. Or maybe Jason Dickinson has another 2-goal game, or you get another hat trick out of Taylor Hall later in the year. But it's just, that's what this roster is. And Norm McIver identified it before the first game of the year. And look, I still think they're underachieving because you have guys who have scored before that aren't. But I don't know what more is
some of those
fair
guys
to expect.
That have scored track records before, products of playing on better teams.
Of course.
Where they weren't the guy. Teuvo Teravainen never needed to be the offensive driver in Carolina.
Right.
And he benefited from playing with Sebastian Aho. He comes here and all of a sudden he's supposed to be the offensive driver for Connor Bedard. It's not going to happen. It's not happening. And, Tyler Bertuzzi has got some, scored over 20 in a season multiple times. And a lot of that is because he's playing, middle six. But now he's looked upon to be a top-line guy.
Yeah.
Too many guys playing above their capacities. That was a problem last year. It's a problem again this year.
Well, you're hoping for – so what Davidson is hoping for this year is maxing out of everybody. And that's what we were trying to predict this season.
If everybody has a career year this year, or it won't be that bad.
No, I would not even say that. I think if everybody plays up to the back of the hockey card – right? Like, Teuvo's a 56 point.
It reminds me of how Ed Lynch and Andy McPhail used to GM the Cubs.
FAIL.
I knew you were going to do that. But, like, back in the day, like, hey, Mickey Morandini, if he has a career year, this team might make the playoffs. Hey, like, that's what they're doing.
Guess what?
And
the Cubs are still doing that, by the way.
Well, they're back to doing that.
Yeah, they're back to doing it. Fair enough.
So, I mean, it's not worth getting pissed off after every one of these games.
I mean, you
can't anymore.
They've
made me emotionless.
Well, yes.
But here's my thing. You can't keep rolling out these same guys and expecting different results.
Maybe they don't.
Well, then they're insane if they think.
No, I'm saying maybe they don't expect different results.
Well, okay, then.
But if they're content with this,
I mean, sure, you're still very early in a rebuild. Sure, another top 3 or 4 pick is not hurting anything.
I know.
But this was supposed to be better. The man who's in charge told us this was going to be better, that another 52-point season was unacceptable.
Well,
So they can't expect this to be. You can't say it's unacceptable and then have this and then go, no, this is acceptable. You can't do that.
Well, here's the thing.
One of those teams, you were full of crap, or you've just been beaten down.
Well, here's what concerns me. And if you heard Kyle Davidson on the Overdrive podcast from TSN, nothing local, but sure. He was talking about how, well, the season's really weird because our power play is better and our penalty kill's better. We're not allowing as many goals.
Get on the power play,
but the results are no good. Well,
because you can't score at 5 on 5.
You don't have anyone that can score. That's it.
And the power play has been pretty good, but you only draw 1 penalty a night,
dude. Your second power play unit is your fourth line.
Yeah, it's not good. I mean, granted, they only get about 18 seconds of power play, but still.
Yeah. So, a lot of people calling for Kyle Davidson to be fired. That is absurdity.
It's absurdity. We're here for after the loss trolls that come out.
Well, some of them are familiar names too, and I just you
don't fire a GM 3 years into a rebuild really when you have, when your 14th rated prospect is tearing it up in the AHL. You've got this isn't the team that they're putting together to say, this isn't the finished product. This isn't the roster that says, here's where we are going to start competing. That's not what this is.
By the way, this is the same GM that got you Alex Vlasic long-term at a complete bargain deal. He's the guy that got you a first-round pick simply for taking Peter. He's gotten you Jason Dickinson for nothing. He's done a lot of good stuff. Got a
second-round pick to take Jason Dickinson.
Now, if he went out and signed Jake Gensel for 8 years, $9 million a year, and Jake Gensel had 4 points, then you start to say this was a bad franchise-wrecking style kind of a move here. But look, this is not the NHL team yet, and the system is good. The prospects are good. They're just not ready yet. And we are frustrated that 2 guys, and at least 1 guy, who to me looks bored at the AHL level, and Frank Nazar, who is just like, I'm going to score from this angle. No, I'm going to do this. No, I'm going to wear 1 skate for this game and see what I can do. It's just, what more do you need to see?
In case you missed it, Frank Nazar had another goal. You should see his power play goal and 2 more assists, a 3-point night. He has 11 goals and 24 points in 18 games in the AHL. This was his 8th multi-point game and his 3rd multi-point game in the last 3 games.
Yeah. He drafted that guy. For all asking, what has Kyle Davidson done yet?
Drafted that guy because he basically got that guy for Kirby Dach.
Right.
Who is not done much of anything since leaving here.
Yes.
So, I mean, I don't know. You've got help there.
Yeah.
Like the whole Nazar stuff, people want to argue he's still got to develop. He's too good for the AHL right now.
Yeah. There's no 4A. Unfortunately, there's nowhere between the NHL and the AHL.
I'm all about development, and I'm all about patience. But this kid is showing you it's not like he had a 3-point game tonight and it was his first multi-point game of the season. We're saying, oh my God, look, he's ready. No, he's doing this every night.
Every night.
He leads all AHL rookies in points.
Yes. I want to go back to one more comment from Dom. I'm going to Dom a lot tonight, but he's asking questions that a lot of people are asking about. So he says, okay, so if now isn't a time to question Davidson, when will it be? How bad do we let it get? I'm truly curious because I don't want to overreact. When the prospects come up and fail,
right,
that's when or they never make it in the first place. If Sasha Boisvert never plays an NHL game,
right?
If
Levshunov is a bust,
if
Nazar never pans out, if Korchinski never
if
pans
Oliver
out,
Moore is a
if Drew Commesso
never,
Drew Commesso wasn't his pick, but if Adam Guyan never plays in the NHL, then that's when you start to worry. That's when you say this isn't working.
Yes.
But you have to let the guys that he drafted get here and prove that they're good or not. That's what you're judging. That's what his whole legacy is riding on.
Yes.
Is that these kids come up and they play good. He's not attaching his legacy to TJ Brody.
Correct. And Dom again says, how many bad years is that? We talked about this team being competitive again in what, 26, 27, being like a playoff team that actually makes some noise. Guys, I know it's frustrating, but this is what a rebuild is.
Yes.
And we weren't expecting it to be as ugly as it's been this year and as disappointing as it's been this year. True. But again, the end result of this year was going to be very likely no playoffs.
Almost guaranteed.
A lottery pick.
Right.
And you're just farther from the playoffs and better lottery chances than you expected. It's fine. And like maybe when Nazar gets here and some other prospects get here, you are expecting less from Tavo and less from by the way, I have no problem with Tyler Bertuzzi. I think he's done everything you've asked him to do, short of putting the puck in the net. He works his ass off. He wins pucks. He plays in front of the net. When you just never have the puck, he's not going to be as valuable in front of the net because he never has a chance to set up. All right, we're late for the break zone. We got to hit it. If you've not done it yet, please hit that like button for us. I know we have over 250 people watching and only 62 likes. Make that make sense. Please, please, please smash that like button for us. And we'll be back with more in a moment on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast. But if you're looking for a perfect way to elevate your day, do it at Verilife Dispensary. They have everything you need from premium cannabis products to expert advice. Ooh, it's good stuff there. Don't miss out on their latest deals and exclusive offers only at Verilife Cannabis stores and online at verilife.com. And whether you're new to cannabis or a connoisseur, their knowledgeable bud tenders are there to help you. They've got 8 convenient Chicagoland locations, so you can discover your perfect experience easier than ever. And they offer a price match guarantee, ensuring you get the best value by matching local competitors' prices on eligible products. Mention the code CHGO25 in store and receive 25% off one regular priced item. Restrictions apply.
I hate to interrupt our show here, but I just can't stop thinking about how ComEd can help businesses save money and become more energy efficient. Did you know that?
It rings a bell.
Well, it should ring a bell.
Yeah.
Because the energy efficiency program can help you and your business, Jay, that you own.
I do.
Find up to 35% in energy savings.
Wow. What should I do then?
You just have to sign up for a free facility assessment at ComEd.com/biz.
Does my basement office count as a facility? And also, why aren't more businesses doing it?
Maybe they forgot that website I just read.
Ooh, that one you just said, ComEd.com/biz? Yes. ComEd.com/biz?
Mm-hmm.
ComEd.com/biz?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one.
All right.
Yeah. So, they should go to that website and sign up. Terms and conditions apply. Offers are subject to change. Actual savings will vary by customers' energy usage and rate. ComEd Energy Efficiency Program is funded in compliance with state law.
All right. Sarah, we have any super chats we need to get to here? Oh, wow. We got a bunch. Thank you very much. Sam S. with the $2 super chat says, where are the goals going to come from? Nazar. Yes. From your keyboard to Kyle Davidson's ears. Colin with the $2 super chat says, finally became a diehard with the discount. Thanks. Yep. Thank you, Colin.
Aboard, Colin. Appreciate that.
Happy to have you. If you missed that, $36. That deal has been extended until midnight tonight. So allchgo.com, become a diehard. Join the literal thousands of new diehards we've gotten over the last couple days. $5 from Mr. Koala says the most sickening part of the experience that is this season is recognizing just how far we are from playoff hockey. This is so hard to watch. I feel that one. McLovin, $5 says, you think Kyle Davidson's logic is better defense is still a better team overall from last year? And the latest every shift, he also said the team is better.
They are giving up less goals, and they are in more of these games than they were last year.
And they're not getting absolutely dominated. I think the reason it's so frustrating is because we see the chances there and no results.
Right. Or you see chances being overlooked to make that extra pass, and then the puck goes the other way repeatedly.
Yeah. Yes. And Mike with a $2 super chat says, from Mike. Thanks, Mike.
There's probably a comment under there that we missed,
probably. We'll see if we can find it later. But yeah, it's look, we are all frustrated. Like, we've got to do this 82 times a year, and trying to find something new to flap gums about becomes challenging because it's almost predictable at this point where what every game's going to be, and once a week There's one where they put it together tonight and things bounce their way and they look pretty good. And then the other 2-3 games of the week are the same story. Sometimes a little better, sometimes a little worse, but the end result is the same. 4-2, 3-1, 2-0.
Yeah. I get the frustration. There was some, more expectation on this team. And listen, this team still might find a way to finish with 72, 74 points like we all predicted. That's not, I don't think that's asking too much still. There's still a ton of hockey to play.
Right.
But it's frustrating to watch this every night. And I get it. And it's unfortunately, this is probably what, we should have expected out of this team. That you don't have a ton of finishers. And when the team is struggling to score, then you try and make that perfect play. As opposed to the simple play. They've been doing this all night, all season long. And it's just, here's a thing that concerned me tonight and over the last couple games is Connor Bedard is regressing defensively. He's playing all right. His plus minus was only like at a -1 just a couple weeks ago. Now he's at a -12. He's a -5 the last 2 games.
Yeah.
The 2 goals tonight, the Morgan Geekie goal, the first goal, that was Connor Bedard's guy. At first I was like upset watching it live because Wyatt Kaiser just kind of stood there, but he didn't see the puck. But that's Connor Bedard's guy is Geekie. And Connor Bedard was with him, and then once the shot was made, he just stopped, and Geekie followed up his shot and got the goal. The second Marchand goal, if you watch it, or if you do the little goal simulator thingy on NHL.com, Connor Bedard is with Marchand, shadowing him. And then they get to the turn, and he just stops skating. Not to pick up anybody else. He just stops, looks around. Marchand scores the easy goal. Like, those are the type of things where I'm like, yes, I know you're 19. I know it's your second year, but those things have to be better.
Well, I also think the he's 19 thing, like, yeah, sure, true, but we're also almost 100 games into his career.
Those staying with Brad Marchand on defense is not something that's something anybody should know.
Yes.
Why are you stopping? He literally, it was like when you play be a pro on NHL and you get your little box.
Yeah.
And it turns red when you leave your box. It's like his box turned red. He's like, nope, I'm not supposed to go on this line. It's like, man, it needs to be better than that. I know that kid is under a ton of pressure. And I know he's worried about the goals and the offense because that hasn't been there all year. But you can't hurt your team even more by letting the other team score easy goals that are, and maybe Marchand still scores that goal if you're still with him, but at least make it difficult for him. That was too easy. Both his goals were too easy. All 4 goals by the Bruins were too easy. The breakaway, that was more bad luck than anything else. Reichel tried to get the puck in deep and it hit his shin pad, and Geekie was coming off the bench on a line change and nobody picked him up. That was bad luck. But the other 3 goals were avoidable.
100%. And you're right. It is a lot of guys trying to do too much. And when you see the extra passes and you see those sort of things, that's what's going to happen. However, at this point, stop doing it. It's been all year. So, get the message through. And the coaches have said it. The media has said it. The players themselves have said it. It's stop. I know it's hard. It's easy to say stop trying to do too much, but the extra pass, if you've got a lane, shoot it. If you've got a look, take it. And someone in the chat just said, I think it was Lebowski, said that Bedard has to go back to doing what he did in junior and just saying, screw it, I'll just do it myself. Fine. If he's bad offensively or defensively, I can live with that if he's putting the puck in the net. If he's -12 and he's got 30 goals and 40 assists, cool. But that's not what's happening right now. And it's just, you don't want to lay it all on him. And it's these losses, by the way, are not obviously Connor Bedard's fault.
Yeah, they are.
But we saw the hottest take of all time in here. In all of our years doing the show, somebody said they took the wrong guy at number 1.
Sure.
Surprised it took that long, but yikes. Back to your shanties. I just, it's a 4-2 loss to the Bruins on a Wednesday night, and we're declaring that Connor Bedard is now a bust. Like, what are we talking about here?
That's the easy thing. And for the 300th time, people, Connor Bedard is not eligible to go to Rockford, so stop saying it. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Look up a rule book.
Right.
You sound like a moron when you come on here and say stuff that just can't happen.
Well,
he's 19. If you played in the CHGL, you have to be 20 to play in Rockford. He's ineligible to go to Rockford. Come up with some other stupid crap to say every night.
Or just don't. Yeah.
Serenity now.
All right. We got to tell you about the 3 stars of the game, so we can tell you about the 4 star of the game. Number 3 star, Connor Murphy with 2 assists, 10 assists on a year. Playmaking
Offensive
machine.
juggernaut.
Connor Murphy.
Trade value through the roof.
2 goals for Morgan Gretzky. I'm sorry, it's Morgan Geeky. And 2 goals for Brad Marchand. Marchand's got to feel good about the fact that he gets booed, even in a Western Conference town where he doesn't play very often. His reputation precedes him.
And he relishes that role.
Yep.
There's no doubt about it.
So your 4-star nominees, we only given you 2 in this game because, frankly, that's really all that needed it. Jason Dickinson with a goal. Alex Vlasic with a goal. Again, Alex Vlasic will be with us tomorrow. That is Thursday at 2:30 p.m. in studio with us, so make sure you watch that show. We'll reveal the winner of the 4-star at the end of the show, but I think we know who it might be. Yeah, we're just getting the same old stuff, man. Like the Fire Luke. Fire Kyle's a new one, but Fire Luke is going all over the place. And as we've said for weeks and months now, if that's what they decide to do, fine. I just
not going to happen during the season.
I wouldn't think so, unless he has
a
horrible
9-game losing streak. It's just not going to happen. They'll reevaluate at the end of the year when they have the out, it's an option. It's a club option to bring them back. So if this continues for the rest of this season and there's no improvement between now and then, they will seriously weigh out their options. We'll see what happens, but it's not going to happen in season. There are frustrating things about Richardson this season, the constant line changing. That's been better of late. But some things just the players have to be blamed for something. The extra passes, the just inability to score, the shooting, getting a wide open look and missing the net by 5 feet. That's not coaching. That's execution. Great. So.
Well, I will say today there was a pretty big coaching error when they pulled Mrazek, and they had 6 guys in the offensive zone before Mrazek was off the ice. That's a coaching error, and you're down 2 trying to score an empty net, then you take a penalty.
Well, this team should be experts on pulling a goalie because they do it every freaking night. How do you screw it up this late in the season when you literally do it every third period?
I know, but it's, we can keep saying the players need to execute, and they do. But I also think the players need to be put in situations and things might need to be adjusted here. Like, change up your system, change up your power play units. I don't have a big problem with, Craig Smith's done his job. You understand why Pat Maroon is on the second power play unit because he's big and goes in front and he's got good hands for a guy his size. And Lucas Reichel's been one of your better offensive players. But, it's your 4th line.
Who else would you put out there?
I don't know. Dickinson can score. I know you don't want to take Dickinson off the...
You've got Dickinson's playing too much PK. You would love to put Philip Kurashev out there, but that guy's been a ghost all season. So it's more of, I think, I'm going to reward a guy that's actually producing. You want to be on the power play, Philip Kurashev? Do something. Anything.
Yeah.
It's like that meme with the stick figure poking the stick. Do something.
Yeah, 100%. All right, we got to hit the break zone. Mario Tirabassi is going to join us here momentarily on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast. But you might notice my pantalones here that I'm wearing tonight. Very nice. These are from our new friends at Public Rec. And as a big guy, finding comfortable pants that are not jeans or shorts is challenging. And let me tell you, these Public Rec pants are outstanding. They're very stretchy, but they look nice. They're great. I love these things. As soon as I got my first pair, I went on the website and was like, okay, how many colors do these pants come in? Because they're great. The clothing is outstanding, super comfortable. Wear them to games. I wore them one day. I was going to a game. The first time I wore them, and I wore them all day. Then I got home and just like kept them on. Usually when I get home, I yell to my wife, why am I still wearing hard pants? And go put on pajama pants or sweats or shorts. With these, I kept them on all day because they are that comfortable. So get yourself some. Stop suffering in regular pants and give the gift of comfort this holiday season. For a limited time only, our listeners get 20% off when you use the code CHGO at checkout. That's 20% off with the code CHGO at publicrec.com. After you purchase, they'll ask you how you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Give yourself or someone you love the gift of comfort this holiday with Public Rec. Honestly, these are outstanding. I love these pants.
And what better thing to do with a pair of comfortable, stretchy pants is eat a whole bunch of tasty food and then put them on. And
check the stretchability.
Fantastic. Yes. See how far I could stretch these pants. And that's where our friends at Family Farms come in to help. Their culinary journey is woven with passion and dedication and a commitment to crafting the finest bacon-wrapped chicken, a timeless delicacy that has tantalized taste buds since 1974. Join them on this flavorful adventure where every bite tells a story of tradition, quality, and the enduring spirit of Family Farms. The tradition continues. Now you can find Family Farms bacon-wrapped chicken even easier. Look for them in the meat department at your local Woodsman's, Mariano's, or Burkott's. Craving a taste of home without leaving yours? Check out baconwrappedchicken.com or click on the link for their Amazon store, which also includes the legendary Rocky Rococo's Italian sausage. And to find out when their amazing new Cajun Nation flavors will become available with an authentic Louisiana bite. Experience the flavor that's become a family favorite for generations. Visit your nearest Woodman's, Mariano's, or Burkett's, or on Amazon, baconwrappedchicken.com.
All right, Sarah, any new super chats we need to get to before we bring Mario in? Yes. All right, Mr. Koala with another one, $5, says, also, when does Bedard's regression start becoming a concern for Davidson? It seems like he's leaving him out to dry. I'd love your thoughts on that. Defensively, he is regressing, but I think it's a defensive slump more than anything. He'll be fine. The last guy in this team I'm worried about is Connor Bedard. Really. I know the goals aren't coming. I know that he's making mistakes we weren't really expecting him to make anymore, but we got to just pause a little bit and zoom out and look at the reality. And
I know a lot of people, a lot of pushback I get as well. He can't keep losing this much. Nathan McKinnon did a lot of losing early in his career. He's just fine.
He turned out okay.
There's a lot of guys. Connor McDavid didn't win a ton his first few years. He's okay. Sure, you would like him to win more games and lose more games, but when there's more talent around him, you'll see a different version.
Yeah, and I just feel like this would be a lot easier to tolerate if they were losing like the Sharks instead of losing like the Hawks. I think
if they were fun bad instead of bad,
losing
bad.
6-3 or 6-4 instead of 3-2 or 3-1.
Lose all you want, just entertain me.
Yeah, it's a boring way to lose, which also makes it tougher to swallow.
Yes.
All right, let's go to the United Center right now and bring in our very own Mario Tirabassi. Hey, Mario.
What's up, guys?
What was the message at the end of the game? Let me guess. We got to play simple, put the puck on net, finish strong, all that stuff.
You cheated. You watched the video.
I did not watch the video.
Yes. Pretty much all that messaging tracks, taking care of the puck, being able to continue off of a fast start. Plain simple. I mean, all the things that have been problems with this team all season this was another game that we've seen a bunch this season. Luke Richardson talked for 10 minutes after the game, and he's honest. He's pretty open with what he tells us in those press conferences, but it's all things that we've heard before at different times this season. And this was another Blackhawks game. It's the best way to put it.
It sure was. Yeah, it definitely had a very familiar feel as the game went on. Boston scores that third goal, and then they're just a collective. All right, it's just a matter of filling out the description of the podcast with the final score, but it's over. It feels, once a third goal is scored by the opponent, the game just feels over.
Well, and you get the Dickinson goal late in the second period, right? So you cut it to 3-2. Not the prettiest goal, but who cares? It went in. It's a goal. It counts all the same. So you feel like you carry a little bit of momentum into the second intermission, into the third period. But there's just nothing in this team that gives you any belief right now that carrying momentum into an intermission, into a third period means anything, because they don't have the horses to do anything with it. And the few guys that you say could carry this team, it's been inconsistent, like Bedard and Vlasic, and the way Reichel's been playing. Like, he didn't play a lot tonight, but given the way that he's played this season, like, he's one of those guys that when he's on the ice, like, he's trying to be effective. And for the most part, he has been, but it's just not enough. And when you have so many new players come in, and a lot of guys from a free agency class are being relied on to, shoulder the load, to not make it all fall on Bedard. And most to all of them are underperforming expectations. Like, there's really not much that this team can do to kind of pull itself out of those deficits. And, Greg and I were talking after they scored that first goal. It was just like, it's 7 of 8 games that they've scored first over the last, stretch of time. And one win out of those games? Like, they just don't have the ability to maintain good stretches of play. I don't know if it's a skill thing. I don't know if it's a mentality thing. It's probably a combination of both at this moment. We talked with Teuvo Teravainen after the game, and he spoke to he told Ben Pope earlier this season that hey, my confidence is not where it should be. It's down. It's hard to get out of those slumps, and same. It's the same. It's been the same. There's been nothing to break that slump for him or for this team collectively. So I don't know what they're looking for to break them out of that slump, because they're just kind of in it right now, and I don't know what gets you out of it.
Well, you mentioned Lukas Reichel, who has been one of the more effective offensive players. Team low 10:25 of ice time tonight. That includes 137 on the power play. Maybe it's time you just look at this thing and say, all right, you know what? This is where we're at. And while we're better defensively and penalty kill's good and the power play has been better, like, let's just start giving kids some looks and see what we can get from Reichel with more ice time. And you just try, I don't know. I know we want to have consistent lines, but you can have consistent lines with different people on them. I just, the veterans on this team that you are relying on so much are really not contributing right now. And if things start to turn around, then maybe you reevaluate it and give him back those chances again. But, like, why not give Reichel some time on the top 6 and just see what he can do with a little more ice time? At this point, every game is banging your head into the wall saying, where's the offense going to come from? I don't know. No one seems to know. And they're not making any trades. They're not making any call-ups. So give some of the guys that are showing up consistently every game more ice time. That's all I can think to do. Like Craig Smith, 11:04. He's been probably your most consistent forward. Him and Ryan Donato have been your two most consistent forwards all year. it's not giving him more ice time isn't going to give him more talent, but at least he's playing hard. At least he's earning the opportunity. I don't know. It's just short of shaking up the roster one way or another. That's really the only option they have right now. And I think that's why show after show after show, the three of us are pleading for some sort of shakeup.
Yeah. Yeah. There has to be something different. They've gone through many lineup changes. They've tried so many different combinations. Not, we're down to probably our last 2 or 3 line combinations and defensive pairs that we mathematically could have had this season that we haven't tried yet. That they haven't tried yet. So do you do that? I don't know. I still feel like what is in this locker room right now doesn't have it. There needs to be a shakeup to the makeup of the locker room. Tonight in the AHL with the Rockford Ice Hogs was a much more fun game to watch and track tonight than this game was. And there's 2 or 3 guys on that roster that I pick one of any of them, if not all 3, and they would provide some sort of different look to this roster. You can make a coaching change. That definitely shakes things up in the locker room and the makeup of the team. That's a big jolt to a team. I just don't know if that's going to happen in season. I don't foresee that happening in season unless, there's any kind of tone change from Kyle Davidson, which it doesn't seem like there is. So I don't know what the difference comes from. So it's you're in a spot where you're kind of just, like you said, you're banging your head. Hopefully the wall gets softer before your head does.
I don't like those chances.
Me neither.
Did Luke mention anything about the overall defensive play tonight? Because 3 of those 4 goals, in my eyes, were avoidable. Just sticking with your guy for a second more probably prevents all 3 of those goals. Did he have anything to say about that?
Yeah, the first one, that was the one that was swept in, right? That was the first one from behind Mrazek, I think.
Yeah.
He said that one was a bit of a combination issue between Taylor Hall and Connor Bedard in their coverage. He said that Boston was kind of in the middle of a change as Hall was looking to cover the center of the ice. He said he looked towards the center of the ice, didn't see anyone there, so he drifted out towards the defense to cover that space, but not really recognizing that it was off of a line change, not necessarily a shift in the offensive zone. So Geekie comes in off the bench and is at the right place at the right time. The other one that he specifically talked about, I think, was the first Marchand goal, which is the one that we were talking about up in the press box during the game. He said that one was more of a communication issue with Martinez and Murphy, where the coverage just kind of broke down. And it's things that you're not really expecting out of guys like Taylor Hall and Connor Murphy and Alec Martinez, like long-time NHL veterans. But that's where we're at with this team. So, yeah, I mean, it's coverage breakdowns. It's not being able to play a simple game consistently enough to be effective and get results. It's a lot of the same things we've heard 25 other times this season. So, it's been rough.
So again, it's the guys that have been the veterans that have been brought in here to do the right things and help this team be better, continually letting them down every night. You should not have, as you said, communication issues between Taylor Hall and Connor Murphy and Alec Martinez, former league MVPs, Stanley Cup winners, players of hundreds and hundreds of NHL games. Not this. Okay, that happens game 1. Okay, it's game 1. Happens at game 26. It's inexcusable. And there needs to be a roster shakeup at some point here. You just can't keep rolling this out and expect it to change. And here's my thing. We know Frank Nazar's been lighting up. He would look fabulous up here. You don't want to bring him up because you want to develop him. Fine. Get out and say it. You want to ride with this loser ass roster the rest of the season? Fine. Get out and say it. Stop answering softball questions from Frank Saravalli and asking out of town questions from Canada when all they want to know about is Connor Bedard. And talk to us. Talk to the local media. Tell us what your plan is. You said this wasn't acceptable anymore. So why is it being accepted?
Yep. I mean, look, I went back a couple weeks ago and I wrote about calling up Frank Nazar and was called many names on the internet. And what Kyle said was, when these kids show us they're ready, we'll make room for them.
I read you his stats. He's ready.
Then do it. Make room for him.
Colton Dock looks ready.
Sure.
He had another goal tonight too.
I just don't know what are you waiting to see? What are you waiting to see from Frank Nazar and Colton Dock?
And it'd be one thing. Part of the reason he brought these guys in this year was so they could be better up here, have a better offensive team, and then nobody would be screaming to call up Frank Nazar or Colton Dock. Well, the guys you brought in all suck.
Best laid plans.
The guys you all brought in suck, and they're making us want Frank Nazar and Colton Dock.
Right.
So either make the move or come out and tell us why you're not going to.
I mean, agree. It's that's simple enough. I mean, it's we would love to hear from Kyle Davidson. Love to. And again, I said last night, just had a baby, but he's been on with Saravalli. I don't know who knows when that was filmed, but he was on with the Overdrive podcast.
Traveling with the team to Toronto. Like
what do we got to talk? Like,
guys on this team have babies all the time and are playing the next night.
It's really easy to be the GM when you're on a rebuilding team with no expectations. This year, you set some expectations, and they're not being met. So you've got to come out and face the music. And if he comes out and says to us, to the assembled media, maybe he comes on this show, that would be wonderful. He was happy to come on when they won the draft lottery, when everything was hunky-dory. We'd love to talk to him when times are a little bit tougher. And look, I think the three of us are still on his side. I think overall he's done a pretty good job.
As we stated earlier, I'm not going to start calling him a failure until all these high draft picks he's drafting don't produce.
Right, and I want my GM to be more patient than me. However, we're getting to a point now where the patience is becoming insanity.
Here's my thing. I would be fine with the patience and be like, okay, if this is what we're going to roll out this season, this is what we're going to roll out this season. But you, Kyle Davidson, told us this was unacceptable.
But see, he is, I think, well, I don't want to get conspiratorial here, but I think he is saying, like, we are better. Look at the defensive numbers. Look at the power play. Look at the penalty kill. It's better. We just don't have the results. And hockey's weird. We say it all the time. Hockey's dumb.
Well, he said finishing last in the league was no longer.
And they're last in the league.
Yes. So you can polish up this turd any way you want to. It still stinks.
And look, you can go through this roster and go, is it this guy's fault? Is it this guy's fault? Is it this guy's fault? Do they deserve to be scratched? Not necessarily, right? Like, Pat Maroon hasn't done anything to be scratched. Kurashev, you could argue, has. Mikheyev, he hasn't put the puck in the net, but he's played pretty well. But again, none of these guys are really part of the plan.
No.
So if you've got a kid to bring him up and play him and see what happens. The worst thing that happens is it stays like this.
Right.
There's nothing to lose. You're not going to break Frank Nazar. Give me a break.
That kid is one of the most confident young hockey players I've ever talked to. He's got swagger dripping off of him. Like, he'll be fine. He'll be fine.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at how these guys in Rockford are carrying themselves right now. Like, they're in good moods, good spirits. So I understand keeping them there for that purpose. Like, let them build their confidence there. Let them build that team chemistry and all that. But you bring in a young kid who's lighting it up in the minor leagues and has a lot of confidence in himself, has some positivity to bring into this locker room. And, you give him an opportunity to, maybe not play with Connor Bedard, but, be able to be on the ice at the same time, in some way, shape or form. I think that gives a jolt to Connor, if not anybody else. And I think if you're in a position this season where, the micro stats are important, but the winning record isn't. I don't know who that applies to, but if that's the case, okay. But you still have to do everything you can to make sure that Connor Bedard is going in the right direction, even if the rest of the team isn't. You have to make sure that Connor Bedard is going in the right direction. So if you bring in Frank Nazar and put his stall next to Bedard and Reichel or something like that, give them a little bit of hope and good vibes and positivity or something like that, so that it can be at least maybe an opportunity to show, to give some good vibes, have it rub off on Connor, and then that might be something that you do. I mean, there's lots of different things that you can gain positively from trying to make a move like that, and show the rest of the locker room hey, there's guys coming up here that are hungry to take your job, so you have to prove that they need to stay in the AHL because you're not giving your spot up, and you also you give a message to the younger guys in the NHL locker room and the guys that are working their butts off and trying to pull the team through it, that hey, we're not just giving up on you guys this year. We're going to try and shake things up, and here's one of your buddies that you came up through with prospect camp with and everything, and try and build off of that. Again, I agree with what you're saying. It's got to be something, and if it's nothing, then Kyle Davidson has to come out and explain it, because we as fans and the fan base deserves to kind of get that message out there. Kind of behooves the Blackhawks to get that message out there, because you have a game against Boston on a Wednesday night. It should be hyped up. You got a small crowd, you got a quiet crowd, you have a mess of a broadcast, you have a team that is last place in the NHL. What do you point to with the Blackhawks that says, here, join us, things are great, it's fun to be a fan now? What do you have this season? So you have to, if I'm Kyle Davidson, I have to get out there, and you got to give some sort of state of the team, because all these questions, the negativity, it starts to build, and you're going to start losing interest, and you're going to start losing fans.
Yeah, when you don't address problems, that's when speculation starts. That's when the hot takes start boiling over.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, I've said this for years, and working 20 plus years in sports radio, I've always seen the direct result of management or players coming out and facing the music is always positive. All fans want is their worst fears quelled. And they want to hear Kyle Davidson say, we see what Frank Nazar is doing in Rockford. We know it's good. Here is why we're not calling him up. You might disagree, but at least you're getting a reason. Now you're getting nothing. Mario, I want to put a pin in your comment on the broadcast tonight, because I think it's important. Deadhawk, by the way, Sarah, a minute ago had a really good comment saying you can't preach merit and then not reward merit. Something along those. There it is. He says you can't preach merit and then not reward merit. That damages not only players, but organizations. That's the thing. That's the thing to me with Nazar and Doc, where you have two guys who are kicking ass, doing everything you're asking them to do. Meanwhile, your NHL team is not kicking ass and not doing what you're asking them to do. And those guys are, I guarantee you, Nazar and Doc are down there in Rockford we're ready. Whenever you want to call us, we're here. We're ready to go.
Calling up one of those guys or both of those guys does a lot of things. It will invigorate the lineup, and it will show the guys in the room that you still care about this season. And it will show Luke Richardson okay, here we go. Now we trust you with some of our star prospects. Let them, do their thing, and it will get the fan base excited again, because this fan base is about done.
Yeah, your threat to the roster can't be, I'll put Joey Anderson back in. Don't make me put Louis Crevier back in. The veterans are fine. You're not going to do that. All right, the broadcast thing. Let's take people behind the scenes a little bit here. Earlier today, before we arrived at the United Center, we received a note from Blackhawks PR saying, we have confirmed with TNT that the game will not be blacked out. They tried to get the information. They got the information confirmed by TNT, and what they were told by TNT is not what happened. Fine. Fans don't care anymore. No. They don't want to hear the excuses. They don't want to hear that you tried. They want this thing fixed. The broadcast situation has been an unmitigated disaster from the start of the season. It continues. Most of the city can't see Hawks games. Then tonight, when they get the opportunity, like, oh, there's going to be a Hawks game on TV, Original 6. Not available in your area.
Well, unless it was for like 10 minutes.
But it's available sometimes, then it's not.
I think it was available on Max, if you have that app. But yeah, it's just tell Xfinity will be on the tier. It's the only way this is going to happen. You're going to do it eventually. Just do it. Yeah. Just do it. I know that's not the Blackhawks per se. That's not their choice, but they should be screaming at whoever it is that needs to agree to that at CHSN and just like, just do it. Bend the knee and do it.
Yep.
And for not to interrupt you, Mario, but like at this point, if you can't see the game, there's options out there. It involves spending a little more money
or changing your provider,
or changing providers, but you could see the game if you want to. If you want it that bad, there are ways to do it. Get an antenna, buy the app, change the Fubo, change the DirecTV. It's not like they're not on TV at all.
Right.
But I get it. You want it on what you already are paying for. I understand all of it, but it's just, I wish CHSN would just say, fine, have it your way. Because that's what they're going to do eventually.
You know what I think at this point in the season, a lot of fans are doing because of the way the team is played and the way that, you know, the broadcast has been handled. They're just not watching.
They don't care.
They don't care. They're not gonna bend over backwards to watch a team that's last place that hasn't been appointment television. My one of my best friends, my buddy brother, I was texting with him tonight. He's barely watched any games this year, and he doesn't have any problems getting the games. And he's just like, I haven't watched. And I'm like, yeah, I don't blame you. Like it's the product. The product hasn't been great. The accessibility hasn't been great. We do our darndest to make sure that fans are tuned in and you know, informed and try to be entertained and excited. And, you know, we try and give out all the information we can to help the broadcast aspect of things. And I just think that there's just a growing number of fans that it's hard to access this team in ways that it shouldn't be on TV and whatnot. And the product isn't appointment television. Even last year, you were towards the bottom of the league, but you had Bedard, and he was exciting. Yep. And this year, like, even Bedard's like exciting.
Last year.
Yeah,
that's why they changed the broadcast team.
This year's, you know, even Bedard's exciting moments have been few and far between. So you can't even, you know, rest on that to be like, wow, look at all the highlight plays he's making. It's not enough. And that, again, I cycle back to, it is why you need, as Kyle Davidson needs to come out and kind of like take control of where this organization is at. I know maybe he probably can't speak to the broadcast side of things, but even just by proxy, it helps, maybe.
All right. If you're watching us on Roku, Samsung, etc., we have to wrap up that part of the show. Final warning, $36 for the year to become a diehard. That ends at midnight. Final answer. This is the cheapest it's been. It's probably the cheapest it will ever be. So if you've been on the fence about becoming a diehard, do it now. Also, you can gift this. If you know a friend who wants it, you can gift it to them. AllCHGO.com. Also, once you're there, head over to our events page. Join us for our Top Shelf Suite Takeover, January 20th, Hawks versus Hurricanes in the suite. All you can eat, all you can drink. You're going to get a goodie bag. In that goodie bag will be a signed puck by Alex Vlasic. who will join the show tomorrow at 2:30. Lots of great stuff. Make sure you're not missing out by becoming a diehard by midnight tonight for $36. AllCHGO.com is the website. The link is in the chat right now, both for the takeover event and for the Cyber Monday $36 for the year diehard deal. So jump in there, take advantage. We'd love to have you as a diehard, and we'd love to see you in the suite for Chicago versus Carolina. It's going to be a great time. Just to kind of finish up on the TV thing, like, I think that you're right, Greg. They just need to find a way to get it on Comcast.
They know how to do it. They just have to accept being on the premier package. Every regional sports network in the world is on that. You're not going to be different.
Yes.
Just do it already.
Yep. That's it. And people are going to be mad that they have to upgrade their package. But at that point, you can at least say, we've made it available everywhere.
Right.
And you're just refusing to pay more for it. That's on you. Look, I get it. Like, people like my dad's 80 years old. My dad doesn't want to have to figure out Fubo. He's had cable for his entire adult life. He doesn't want to change from cable. That's enough. Like, and he's happy to just not watch. And he'll just watch our show instead and find out what happened. Or he'll watch the highlights on the news or whatever. Like, it's just, that is a huge part of this fan base. And now with no real reason to watch, especially with the one reason to watch, Bedard slumping. Like, if Bedard was tearing it up right now, people would be chomping at the bit to find CHSN for themselves. But he's not at the moment. So they really have no draw. And again, tune in. It's Joey Anderson's return to the lineup. I know it's a sport and you want to be competitive, but it's also a business. And this business arrow is pointing very far down right now for the Blackhawks because there's no interest. There's no winning. People that are interested can't watch. It is a really, really bad situation. It's not
good. And I think it was, looking through the chat here, I think it was Bijan that said, it's a rebuild. It's what you sign up for when a team goes into a rebuild. And there's some truth to that. There's merit to that. But in the grand scheme of the rebuild, the NHL portion of that, I go back to what we already kind of said. Like, Kyle Davidson was very adamant that results like this weren't to be accepted, and if being in last place this season was acceptable, and the way that this season has gone was totally foreseeable and in the cards, and that's what we signed up for, he would not have gone out and tried to be aggressive for a rebuilding team in free agency. He wouldn't have. He would have probably kept Mackenzie Entwistle and Tyler Johnson and just kind of like rolled out a similar roster to the last 2 years, and just would have, maybe you still get Craig Smith, maybe you still get Alec Martinez, but you don't go and get Bertuzzi and Teravainen and give them term. You don't go out and do that. If you're saying that this is still a dead last tank rebuild season, and it's not supposed to be that. So I get that, the aspect of this should have been a winning NHL team this year is far-fetched and unattainable this year, clearly. But you still have, it still had to be better than this by the standards laid out by the organization. So yes, and Philip Taylor Radish as well. You would have kept him too.
All right, we got to do who's your Hawk winner, Greg?
Didn't take long to add up these points again. Ryan Donato had 2. Connor Bedard had half a point. And Lucas Reichel had 0. So we were like halfway through the show, and I was like, oh, crap, I forgot to do the Who's Your Hawks numbers. And then I looked, I go, oh, this will take me 3 seconds. A whole lot of nothing.
Here you go, Mario.
These guys stink.
I'm virtually handing it to you. Here, I'm going to yeet it to United Center. Yeet. There you go. Nice catch.
Got it. Yeah.
We need a second one for our bag so we could put it on while we're at the.
Oh, see, yeah. Oh, that's fine. We'll talk to Aaron. We'll get another one. All right, Mario. Any nuggets or tidbits that we somehow have not gotten to?
Yes. So it was obviously NHL on TNT tonight, and we were going through the hallways down here in the basement of the United Center, going between the visiting locker room and the Hawks locker room, and the NHL on TNT crew was setting up Brad Marchand for his grab ass hour with the TNT crew, and essentially stopped about 50 or 60 people trying to pass through the hallway. And we're sitting there like they got Marchand on one wall with the backdrop and everything. And then they got the camera basically butt up against the other wall. And then there's a lane right down the middle, but you're going to go through live international TV if you do, and screw up the entire shot and everything. Probably get fired if you walk through there. And so we're all just sitting there, like with our shrugging our shoulders, like we can't go anywhere. And then the Blackhawks communication staff, they open up the locker room. A few TV cameras go in, and I think maybe a handful of beat reporters who, if like Tracy Myers, she goes down after the second period. A few of them walked in. But all of us are just back here, like we're stuck. Like we're just like trying to, communicate with like hand signals. Like we can't move, can't go anywhere. I think someone from the Boston PR staff like tapped the TNT cameraman's shoulder and was just like, "You gotta like, can you move? Like we're trying to like get these people through here." And he was just like, "Nope, we're live or whatever." And I was just like, "Oh man!" So it was just hilarious because we're all just like standing there, like staring at Marchand, only hearing his questions. We're not hearing the conversation. We're only hearing his answers. And he's, doing his bits and stuff with the TNT crew. So I can only imagine what they were actually talking about. And
no, I think Mario froze. I was like,
somebody walked into his camera shot.
Hanging on that every word. We'll just let him go. It's been a long night. Thanks, Mario. If you can hear us, we appreciate it, but I think Brad Marchand has pulled the plug on Mario.
Yeah.
So make sure you follow him on Twitter at Mario_Tierbasi for lots of sweaty thirst traps. Do that. We have a $5 super chat from Max who says it's time for the GM to speak. Someone needs to be called up. Sorry for repeating what we said in the past month, but this is just unacceptable. Yep, we are all calling for Kyle Davidson to speak. Hopefully it happens soon. All right, do we want to get Mario back in to wrap up his thought? It looks like he's not.
Mario's
let's
having
just.
some issues.
I just got a weather warning for a snow squall. I don't know what that is.
Oh, we should get going.
I don't want to drive home.
No,
through
let's
it,
not
so,
do that.
yeah.
4-star of the game. Guess who it is?
It's Alex Vlasic.
It's Alex Vlasic.
Our guest tomorrow.
Tomorrow at 2:30, Alex Vlasic will be in this seat. Well, maybe not this one, but one of these seats. It's gonna be a good time. Don't miss it. I don't know what that was. It was scary.
Just a whistle.
Okay.
Like, to get people's attention.
Got my attention.
Exactly.
Yeah, it sure did.
It's working.
All right, and you have less than 2 hours to become a diehard for $36. So do it. AllCHGO.com and join us. I know some tickets have already sold for our top shelf takeover, January 20th, Chicago, Carolina. Do it. Join us. Diehard save $80 per ticket for the CHGO top shelf takeover on January 20th. So go do that. $36. Do the math. I can't, but you can. Talk to you tomorrow at 2:30 on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.